You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Whistle, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Whistle.
Welcome to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. Thanks for listening. It's that time of year again. We're all in the holiday spirit, celebrating with friends and family, going to dinner parties, watching football games. We come up with all kinds of new recipes we want to try, and I know there are folks out there who just can't resist pulling out the deep fryers, or even frying on the stove for that matter. But what do we do with all that leftover oil and grease? Some of you may know the correct answer. You've heard it here before, but in case you haven't, I've invited the city's Environmental Program Coordinator, Glabra Skip, to join me in the break room. Glabra, welcome back.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having me.
So we do have this about this time every year. It's a big holiday time for cooking, and just give us the rundown. Tell us our do's and don'ts about that holiday grease.
Well, it's a big time for cooking and a big time for sewer backups. So I'm here to remind everyone to keep grease out of the drain. While you're cooking all your holiday meals, take your greasy pans, wipe them out, use paper towels, throw it in the trash. Don't let it go down the drain. The more you can keep out of the drain, the better.
And that wiping out, sometimes we forget. Just set it aside for a little while. I know that sometimes when I don't set it aside at first, I look and I'm like, it's probably okay. And then I think of you and I think, no, Glabra would be so disappointed if I just poured this down the drain. So I set it aside, and an hour or so later, all of a sudden you start seeing that stuff harden, and you kind of say, wow, there's a lot there. So it's much easier to wipe or even dump in the trash can. It's not so hot, melty.
Right. And what I do personally, if you have a little bit of grease, keep an extra tin can. Like if you had some, beans or some corn or something, you have a little can, or even a soda can. You can use a can opener, cut off the top and use that. I put all my excess grease in there, put it in your freezer. And then on trash day, it's perfect. That way you're not having a big mess. The animals don't get into it. It works out really good.
I don't know that I would ever think to put something like that in my freezer.
Yep. And it keeps it so it doesn't stink. It really doesn't.
Okay. Doesn't attract bugs or anything like that?
No, some people keep it under their sink, a little grease jar under their sink, which is okay too. Biggest thing is keep it out of the drain.
Out of the drain. And we also have another thing. We're talking about drains. Just to switch topics just a little bit, one of the other things that you try to help us remember is we also have toilet drains and shower drains, other drains we don't like to see stuff go down.
Yes, and this is another big time for that as well. You've got all those holiday guests over. Everyone's flushing a lot more. The toilets are a lot more active this time of year. So just be mindful. You only want toilet paper and human waste to go down your toilet.
Well, and you don't know who knows what other people's habits are, but like you say, you know what your family is accustomed to in terms of waste, how much your water bill is, throwing things out. You or I may have a different, I don't throw the wet wipes and things like that down the drain, but those are kind of a no-no.
Those are, and those flushable wipes, they're not really flushable. They can go down the toilet, but they don't break up like toilet paper. So you want to be really mindful of those. Make sure that your guests know not to flush those in your system because those will wreak havoc. And they combine in your sewer lateral with all the grease, all the hair, everything else that's been flushed down there. It all kind of creates a big glob.
Right.
And then when you go to flush the toilet or use your sink, you've got a backup.
Right.
And if it's on your property, it's your responsibility.
Right.
So plumbers are busy this time of year.
Right. And talking about flushing, where does it go? If any of our listeners have heard me talk with you in the past, I always throw a big shout out to go down to the wastewater treatment plant if you've never been. Talk us through a little bit about if I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, one or two of those get by every now and again. After a while, it builds up. What happens to it once I flush?
So here's what I like to remind people. In a perfect scenario, we want that, whatever you flush, to get to us at the wastewater treatment plant. But it's got a long journey to go before it actually gets to us. There's sewer mains, there's gravity pipes, there's force mains, there's pump stations. It has to make its way all the way through that to our wastewater treatment plant. And there's a good chance if it doesn't clog on your property, it could clog further down the line when everyone else's stuff all mixes together and builds up. So yes, we want it to make it to us at the wastewater plant, but it can pile up in pump stations. It can cause clogs anywhere. And then we've got a sewer spill. And then we've got raw sewage spilling into the environment. So just every little action you take adds up in the end.
And then it's a nightmare for you too, because we have to report that.
Yes, sewer spills we have to report, we have to clean up. We've got crews out there cleaning them up. If it reaches a waterway, we have to sample the waterway to see what the bacteria levels are. So there's a lot that goes into a sewage spill, and it's raw sewage in your environment. No one wants that.
Yeah, no one wants that. And just the thought of the inadvertently it happening, those are the people that are going to get called in on Christmas or called in on the holiday when everybody's trying to enjoy a day off.
Right.
If you're just now tuning in, you are listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director, and I'm speaking with Glabra Skip. She is the city's Environmental Program Coordinator. We're talking about not pouring your grease and excess oils down the drain over here during the holidays. Also reminding folks to be careful of what you're flushing down your toilet. We did just have a drive. We're going to have another one. Tell me a little bit about our oil collection recycle events.
So we have them generally around 2 or 3 times a year. We're trying to keep it consistent at 3 times, or we will take your used cooking oil. So if you're going to fry a turkey on Thanksgiving, save your oil, pour it back into the container it came out of, and bring it to us at our collection event. It's going to be the first Wednesday in January. But also, if you can't make that, we'll accept it any time. You just need to bring it to us at our wastewater plant at the end of Iberia Street, and we will take that cooking oil. So keep our drains clean.
So it doesn't have to be the coagulated, hardened oil. If I cook my turkey in my fryer and I've got that same 5-gallon jug that I've drained into my fryer, I just pour it up. Obviously, I let it cool. Pour it back.
Yes, use a funnel, pour it back into the container that it came out of, and then bring it to us. And we are happy to get rid of that for you. Like I said, anything we can do to keep it out of our drains.
And a phone number to call? Would they call? They can go online, schedule something? What's the best way for me to do that?
Yeah, they can call us at the wastewater treatment plant. It's 904-825-1045, or they can call Environmental Compliance, which is 904-825-1055. And we would be happy to meet you. We have a call box at our gate, and we'd be happy to meet you and take your cooking oil.
Excellent. And your job, Glabra, is environmental compliance is sort of your oversight. Mm-hmm. So you supervise the folks that inspect business restaurant grease traps. So this applies to restaurant owners as well.
Yes, restaurants are big contributors of grease, but they are required to have grease traps. So they're required to have their grease removed and not enter our sewer system.
Okay, so they've got a system in place.
Yes,
to
and
catch
that's what
that.
we're out there inspecting. We're inspecting them to make sure that they're having their grease properly disposed of.
And then just in the interest of environment and the things that you're in charge of, a few other things that we want to remind our listeners. Leaves. Talk to me about leaves and yard debris. My son and I have a debate. He likes to mow without the mulcher and just let it fly all over the grass. I don't like that because it makes big chunks in the grass. So I'm always following him up with the rake, and he's just like shaking his head at me. So you can bag it. But to me, the problem with that letting it fly is that what do you do with it when it's on the driveway?
Right. And we encourage people to, if you do have it on your driveway, blow it back into your yard, which you've just mowed, so you don't. But the best thing is, yes, to use that mulching mower, and it breaks down the leaves, and it provides a fertilizer for your lawn as well. It is fall. There's a lot of leaves out there, so use your mulching mower, bag them, put them in cans on your normal yard waste day. What we don't want is we don't want them to end up in the street.
Okay.
They clog storm drains. They are, right now we've been having a lot of high tides. Sometimes it's as simple as leaves building up on a storm drain that's blocking that water from getting down the drain.
Okay.
And also, if they do make their way into the waterway, they're providing excess nutrients in that waterway that aren't natural there. So we want to keep those leaves out of the street, out of the storm drains. This is an important time of year to talk about this.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, again, thinking of my own, that you educate me every time we talk about this and have enlightened me over the years. My thought was always, just blow it into the street and it'll run down and go into the drain, not thinking that the larger pieces of it clog And like you said, with the rain events that we have here,
Yes.
really have to be careful.
It is the rain events. And then when those leaves are all sitting on top of that storm drain, that rain has nowhere to go. It's going to look like a flooded street, and then sometimes you just brush those leaves away and it all drains out.
It goes right down.
Yeah.
And one other thing you were mentioning, the yard debris pickup days, we have containers for that, or should we be using paper sacks? We need paper bags.
Yes, the paper bags are great to use, and they are very inexpensive. They have them everywhere now. Home Depot, Lowe's, they're readily available, and those are great to use.
I've used those. You just dump your bag. I throw my bagged grass clippings into it because my son has now flown the coop, and now I have to mow the lawn.
Well, and also reuse, if you have a designated yard waste can, use that as well.
Okay. You mentioned the recycle event that's coming up after the first of the year. So if you do fry those turkeys and end up with a lot of that oil, you don't have to wait until the new year to do it. You can call down to the environmental office. But one other program that you are in charge of that was, I wouldn't call it a sleepy event, was the tree canopy. I didn't expect what you told me about it.
Yeah,
Share with us how that's been going.
We've had a huge response to our tree canopy program. So we have been busy. It's taken us a little longer than we initially thought because we have to go do site assessments at every applicant's property to see if a tree if it's the right space, the right fit, So we are still actively working on that. We had 125 qualified applications that we're slowly working our way through.
So you had to go to 125.
We've had a team.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. JB Miller and Mark Hartley have been huge. They've been the ones doing the site assessment. So if you applied, you've seen them out at your property. This has definitely been a team effort. We are working our way through the applications, and we are planning to have the trees planted by the end of February.
Have you notified people? Do they know if they've been selected yet?
Yes, everyone who has, we've been notifying people of the site assessments. So we don't have our final list yet. There are still some properties that may not be the right fit, so we're still working through some of those. But we're working on our final list of applicants where the trees are actually going to be planted.
Can you give us an estimate of 100? You said 125.
We had 125 applications. Ooh, that's tough.
Because you also have to balance the cost of the trees. Did you expect that many people to apply?
Well, we thought it was going to be popular, but we really had no idea because we've never done this before. Right. So we've learned a lot through this process, and it's been fun working through it.
Will there be another application period next year?
We are hoping to have that.
Okay.
We're hoping to have it as a continuous program every year.
Well, that's fantastic. That's great news. It's good to hear that so many people are at least engaging in those programs. They want to be green. They want to try to help replant.
A lot of people had, hurricane damage and they lost trees. We're hearing that over and over again, and this is their opportunity to have a replacement tree put in place.
Well, and whose idea was the tree canopy? Was it a group thing? Is it something that's out there?
This has been something we've been talking about for a while. This actually got brought up at the Sustainability Commission workshop we had. This was on the agenda as far as the tree canopies.
How to replenish.
Yes, how to replenish the tree canopy and build it back after the hurricanes.
Well, Glabra, as usual, lots of great information. Hopefully our listeners will not be putting anything else down the drain than what they're supposed to.
Yeah, and one more plug, too.
Yes.
Save your electronics. If you get new electronic devices for the holidays, save your old ones, bring them to our collection event in January. We're going to be collecting used cooking oil and electronic devices.
Okay. And the electronics, can I do those as well throughout the year?
Yes. You can bring those down to solid waste, which is in the same facility as wastewater. So you can bring your old electronics, you can bring your cooking oil. But we do have a good turnout at our collection events.
Great.
So we'll be at Francis Field again the first Wednesday of January to collect those items.
Okay.
Quick drop off, very quick.
And thanks for the reminder. I had forgotten that the one after the New Year. I do remember it, though, right around Christmas, because it's when everybody gets all their new gadgets. You go, oh, wow, I got this great new upgrade to my earbuds. What am I supposed to do with these old ones?
Yes, bring them down. We will recycle them. Keep them out of the landfill.
Excellent. Thanks for coming down, Glabra.
Thank you, Melissa.
It's always good to have you. If you missed part of this broadcast and want to go back and listen from the beginning, or if you'd like to hear any of our other past interviews, you can find us on the web at citysainogradio.com. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Follow us on any of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at City St. Aug. And of course, visit us on the web at citystaug.com. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Whistle, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.